time to start reassembling the metalwork of the seat, not the upholstery, because that's not going to be done by me. And I made note of which is driver's seat and which is the passenger seat. Now, I don't know if these make a difference, but certainly the bases do. And with the wood here, that's the first job to do. These are the originals, and they're gooey, gluey, so you know it faced this way up. And just make sure you get your holes lined up, because they're not dead accurate, which means that, you know, when you're matching up, you want to get the right piece. You know, I could have got that confused and put it over there, but because of where the holes are that are previously drilled and that I marked through, I know exactly where it goes. So that's where that one goes, and the passenger side is there. I had marked this particular seat, driver's seat, and I just put a little notch in it there so that I knew that that was the driver's seat. And how did I know which is the driver's base? Well, I had to do a repair on the driver's base because the fat asses that had been sitting in it broke it. So I knew that under here there was a piece of metal that I welded in before having it powder coated. So I knew that was my driver's seat. Of course, you can mark it in ever which way you want, but you've got to bear in mind that it's going to be sandblasted, and then it's going to be powder coated, and so, you know, just writing on it isn't going to work. You need to do a physical notch or something somehow to make sure you get it right. Now, of course, on these, let me see, where is it? There, you know, that hole there, you know that one will be on the outside of the driver's seat, and on the passenger seat, it's there. So, you know, that's on the outside. You know that. Well, and do bear in mind, mine is an English car, so, you know, left-hand drive, right-hand drive difference. So, you know, I know that this is the the passenger side, and also the rail is straight here, whereas it curves in here, and this is what goes. Sorry, yeah, this is what goes up against the transmission tunnel, whereas this is up against the door. Again, remembering my car is an English car, and so you've got the same here, the angle there, and that's up against the transmission tunnel, and this is up against the door. All right, let's get these babies riveted on. I guess I'll show you me doing that. If it's of no interest, well, it's of no interest, but let's get started on that, get these new ones riveted in place. And that's all they were, was riveted. And I did note that on this particular one here, there's a lot of weld there, and there's the little mark there, but my replacement doesn't seem to fit over it. So I'm going to get out my step drill, make that hole a bit bigger so that it fits over it neatly. Will it make a difference? I do not know, but I think it will. So let me get my step drill, get that done, and then get my rivet gun, and we'll start some riveting. And then once we've done that, then I'll bolt them together. Yeah, that's it. All right, back in a second. Right, hopefully you're getting a good view here. Got my rivet gun. My one I do like, it's a Blue Point one, which is obviously Mr. Snap-on, and it's got a swivel head on it, so you can use it in this way, or if preferred, that way. Now with these, you've got to do them in a line. I mean, you could start in the middle, but whatever you've got to do, you've got to make sure you press it down hard, because there's a slight curve in the metal, and obviously the wood doesn't want to follow it unless you push it down. So let's start with this one here. He says, and let's get that pushed down and squeeze away. I'm just feeling it underneath to make sure everything's moving and it's getting expanded. Alright, excellent. One down. Turn you a second. Next one. Again, I'm just squeezing the wood down with my finger. Doesn't need much, but you want to make sure you get it pushed down nice and tight. And keep that rivet head up tight up against the wood. Excellent. And next, the final one. Let me twist you again. Excellent. All right, so that is done. Don't be afraid when you've got this piece of wood, you know, to trim it off a little bit more. It's only there so that when the leather comes round, this gives them something to staple into. And do note, I think I've mentioned it before, this is what's called Baltic ply. It's a much better plywood than your average. You find it in various places, but it's what Jaguar originally used. When I spoke to the upholstery company, BAS, they will not use anything else. They will only ever use Baltic ply because it is the best and it works well. And obviously, as they have years and years of experience, I listened to what they said. Not quite sure what these extra holes are for. I know why there's an extra hole up here. That's just for this piece to sit through. So now what I've got to do is make sure that that'll fit there. It looks like I'm going to just have to trim a little bit off just to make it fit. Yeah, it doesn't quite want to get down on it. So let me deal with that and get this riveted in place, and we'll be ready to rock and roll. Back in a sec. Right, once you've got these fitted as best you can, one thing to check before you upholster it or you give it to the upholsterer, these holes here are threaded behind it. Have to make sure that the wood isn't blocking the hole. I just had to relieve them a little bit so that the screw can go through and into these little brackets. It's for the tray that sits on the back, the hinges. So you want to make sure that they are clear. And what I'm going to do is I'm now going to run a tap through these holes just to make sure, because obviously it's been powder coated and the holes could have got easily clogged. So I'll do that, then I will fit the other one up with the wood. I'm not going to show you that because you see me do it on this one. How many times do you need to see it? Rewind. I had to relieve this hole, make this hole bigger because of the weld that was on there, and I didn't want to grind the weld off because I'd ruined my powder coating. That's it on the back of this one. Then the next thing we'll do is we'll bolt them back together. Be right there. One other thing to note when doing these, the thread size is what's called 2BA. That's the size of these little brackets here. And whilst you're doing it, make sure these move around. Now, if you've had it powder coated and it gets stuck, then when you're putting the screws in for the parcel shelf, the table on the back, these may not be loose, and then it makes it really awkward to get the screw holes lined up, and you end up crossing a thread, and then you're really going to get pissed. So yeah, just make sure that they still move around after you've run or before you've run the thread, the 2BA tap through the hole. Okay, just wanted to make sure you guys knew that. Right, this is a slight sidestep from the seats. We'll be back to those in a moment. I'm still trying to get this thing not to be so yellow. And I'm going to put it in here, and I am going to fill with muriatic acid, hence the gloves. Whew, I can smell that stuff already. I've never used this before. Even though I have a pool, I've never used this, but I gather it's pretty good. There was two different choices for me on the shelf. There was this one and another one that said, you know, nice and safe and blah, 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 but still works like, and yeah, no, bollocks. It's like diet beer. There's no fucking point. Let's see what happens. I'm just going to fill this up, and then with whatever's left after this, I'll put it back in the bottle. I mean, it's a gallon bottle. Whoa, man, that takes your breath away. Whoa, damn. Whew. Yeah. And my thought here is, if it destroys it, c'est la guerre. Whew, man, that is potent shit. Oh, seal that up as quickly as I can. Oh, excuse me a second. Whoa. Tell you now, you do not want to be breathing those fumes. Wow. That is toxic shit, man. Dude. If any of you watch Rusty Love, they're dude this and dude that. Anybody think they're in the 60s? Well, we'll see how that goes. Gonna leave it there for a while yeah, literally see how it goes. Back to the seats. All right, there's been a slight change of plan. I was going to show you me putting this together, but because I want to push this video out, I'm not going to show you me putting it together. However, what I am going to show you is what should I say, the sequence of the parts. You have a pin here, then a brass washer, then the bracket from the rear seat, then another brass washer, then another brass washer, and then a split pin. And that is how it works on both sides. It is a pig to get together, I can tell you that. What gets me is, look, this is reclining, yeah? My seats don't recline, yet the mechanism is there. So that's, to me, that's kind of weird. Once I get the final assembly done on these seats, maybe I'll realize they are reclining, but as far as I remember, there is only one lever, and that is on the backwards and forwards motion. Once this baby here is in that position, that's it. It ain't going nowhere. Okay, let's wrap this video up now. Just want to show you the back here. You'll find that there are various things come through these holes, hooks, stuff like that. So you do need to make sure that you put those in the wood if you're going to redo this yourself, as I did. And then I will, as I've said before, I'm going to be taking this off to Catalonia and getting it reupholstered. And making sure these screw holes are clear. I can see a little piece of wood there that's going to get taken off. And I put an extra rivet in here because it was kind of springing up and I didn't like it. So I just decided, fuck it, I'm going to put an extra rivet in. Rivet, 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 rabbit, rivet. Rabbit? No, not a rabbit, a frog. So there we are. As you can see, it reclines, but it shouldn't. Maybe they just used the same frames and then later on figured out how the fuck to make it recline. I mean, I would love to have reclining seats. Why? Well, so that I can take young ladies in my car and lay them down. Ho, 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 naughty, naughty. Yeah, right. Like once I've laid them down, then I go, now what? All right, there you go. Usual shit, guys. You know, like, comment, subscribe, play with your dong, ding the dong, and we'll see. I mean, got these springs here, these nice springs to put on, but I haven't finished doing the runners yet. And you've got to remember these aluminum spacers. I'm a little confused as to why there's 3, not 4. I've got some flathead screws here. I've got some odd washers. Oh, well, that's why, because one of them is on a bolt. Duh. Those split pins can get trashed. Yes, guys, they're called split pins, not cotter pins. Cotter pins is on a bicycle pedal. Oh, have I said that before? What a surprise. 2 nice nuts and bolts there. Not quite sure why. I'm sure I'll figure it out when I get there. All right. As always, guys, thanks very much for watching. Do appreciate it. Now get out in that garage and do some shit.